Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Time to Build webinar series. Tonight, I have the honor of presenting you with Pastor Steve Robinson. And he told me, Shondell, like, you don't have to do the formalities with me. You could just call me Steve. So you will hear me call him Pastor Steve on this webinar. I am excited to be bringing this platform to you all. It's time to build. So many people reached out and they talked about wanting information on how to start their own business, how to start a nonprofit. People had many questions and they did not know where to begin. And we absolutely want to be sure that we are providing you with experts and professionals in the field that can bring you this in time information. And so you all know me, I'm Shondell Burney-Speaks. I go by Shawnee Speaks. I am a life coach, certified entrepreneur. I am a senior advisor for the mayor of the city of Providence. I am a woman of faith, first and foremost, a mom, a wife, the list goes on and on. But enough about me, because I really want to dive into a little bit of Pastor Steve's bio. And for this call, we'll call him Dr. Steve. I like that. And I do have some information from him that I'm going to be sharing with you all. So Dr. Steve Robinson and his wife, Mary, are the co-founders and senior pastors of Cross Point Church. They're located in Newport, Rhode Island and Providence, Rhode Island. So Cross Point is a multicultural interdenominational church that touches the lives of people from around the world. Cross Point has members from various racial and cultural backgrounds, including white, Black, Asian, Spanish speaking, the islands, and many others. So many of you reach out to me. You're looking for a church home. Here you go. Pastor Steve is not only located in Providence, but you could also find his establishment in Newport. One thing that I did want to share about Pastor Steve is that he is the founder of New England's Prayer Fest, whose purpose is to unite the body of Christ in times of prayer to help foster revival and bring reformation to the Northeast region of the United States. Over the last 5 years, New England Prayer Fest attracted thousands of believers from around the region to come and pray together. His radio program and broadcast called Extraordinary Encounters was heard on 5 radio stations around the country. And I could attest to the power of Prayer Fest because I had the pleasure of attending one of his Prayer Fest downtown Providence I believe it was at the Providence Performing Arts. Dr. Robinson has been married to his wife, Mary, for over 38 years. She has been by his side and one of the co-founders and associate pastors of Cross Point Church. They have 2 children, a married daughter and a son, and 3 granddaughters who are all in ministry. Welcome, Pastor Dr. Apostle Steve Robinson. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. Actually, I'm getting ready to celebrate my 41st wedding anniversary. And so any woman that could put up with me for 40 plus years, she is a saint, believe me. So
amen. Amen. Marriage is ministry too, though. Marriage is a lot of work, and maybe one day, we can sit down and talk about marriage. I'm going to be married to my husband for 6 years on August 1st.
Oh, ours is August 5th. Look at that.
Wow. Yep.
Awesome.
6 years and 40 years. Wow. A lot of wisdom in the room. Do you hear me? Okay, awesome. So Pastor Steve is going to be talking with us about how to start a nonprofit. So Pastor Steve, I want you to really just share your heart and share some tools with the folks on how to start a nonprofit. What are the steps? What are some practical steps that you would provide? What is some information that you would think would be most helpful to help folks who are looking to start a nonprofit? But before we do that, I do want to encourage anyone who is looking to sow a seed into this ministry of help here. If you wouldn't mind sowing via Cash App any dollar amount, and you could cash at me at Burney-Speaks 1121. We are looking to bless this man of God, who this entrepreneur, he is a serial entrepreneur, y'all. He has traveled the world. He could be doing so much better things, but he decided to be here with all of us and to share some really vital information that could help us catapult us into our next. So feel free to sow a seed of any dollar amount to Burney-Speaks 1121. I'm going to hand it over to you, Dr. Steve. You could tell us a little bit about yourself, anything that I missed that you'd like to share.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure and honor to be with you, as well as all of those that are listening on today. We don't take your time for granted. Just a little bit of my background. I have a degree in engineering. I spent 20 years in the corporate world as both an engineer and a contracts administrator. Spent another 20 years as the senior pastor of Crosspoint Church in Crosspoint Providence, which is now Fortified Life Church. I moved, I don't want to say I retired, but I sort of ascended more into an apostolic leadership, and I released both of those churches to my spiritual sons. I still oversee those. I spent a lot of time teaching leadership internationally, and just helping the body of Christ, both in the secular community and in the sacred community as well, because leadership has no boundaries, and it's things that people really need. And this past year, I started a leadership development group for high school students called Nexus Leadership Academy that is getting ready to be implemented in the Newport school system, as well as maybe Salve Regina College as well. So I've been really, really busy. So last year, I started a nonprofit because one of the things that I wanted to do was continue some of the work that we had done with the church for the last 20 years, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, doing a lot of different things, which the Bible tells us that we should be doing. How are we helping out our fellow man that's in need? And so I really wanted to continue the work, not only just travel internationally, which I love, but how could I give something back to my community and use all of the experience that I've had for the last 40 years to pour back. And so I really thought about, okay, let's start a nonprofit. And whenever you start something, one of the things is that you need to understand the language, how do these things come together? What are the building blocks for anything, whether it's ministry, whether it's a business? There are foundational truths that have to be able to be laid in order for you to build a really strong foundation. And if you don't build a foundation right, everything that you build will eventually collapse. And so I went to, and I'll just use how I built our nonprofit, which is called SAR Global. And the first thing I went to was LegalZoom, because I really needed to know how to go about putting together this nonprofit. Now, you could do it on your own, which would take you 6, 7, 8 months. But LegalZoom actually has a nonprofit package that includes your EIN, which is your employee identification number, because you need that to start to open up a bank account, checking account, apply for credit. Your EIN is so important. So they have a package where they'll do the EIN, plus once they get that done, they'll actually do the nonprofit paperwork for you as well. It's about $750 to $800. One of the things is that the petitioning the government to become a nonprofit organization, very difficult, very time consuming. You may need lawyers, you may need all kinds of things, and it's not always guaranteed that you will get the nonprofit status. And so one of the things that LegalZoom does is actually does all the work for you. You pay them, you provide the information, and they do that. Now they do a form called 1023 Easy form, which is a new form that the government instituted several years ago because the nonprofit, they were so backed up that it was taking people maybe over a year to actually get their nonprofit status. And so they did this slimline process called 1023 EZ, which you can get your nonprofit in 3 to 6 months. I think it took us about 3.5 months to get our letter, a designation letter. Now, the 1023 EZ is not for churches. Churches cannot use a 1023 EZ. They can only use a 1023, which is a much longer process. This is really good. The 1023 is really easy. It's really good for new organizations, brand new nonprofits, but it really doesn't help for churches because churches have to go through all these other steps. They have to get their CPA involved. They have to provide, years worth of documentation. So one of the things that I've been trying to encourage church leaders, because there's so much money out there for nonprofits, and that's the other thing. Churches are excluded from a lot of their financial grants and resources just because they're a religious organization or entity. So they don't really have access to a lot of the grants that you may see on Rhode Island Grant Foundation website. So one of the things that I've been telling churches is to create a non-religious nonprofit organization, and you can do that. So have your nonprofit separated from what your church is doing. Now, your church can have an exempt. By law, all churches are considered nonprofits, but they don't get the exemption form that many corporations and banks and things like that, which will not give money to churches. Most places will not give money to churches. And that's why this 1023 easy form for those who are looking to start and become a nonprofit is so vitally important. So I would say, go to LegalZoom, pay your $800, get your EIN, and then let them do all the work for you. And it may take you a couple of months to get everything together, but at the end of the day, they're going to do all the work for you. They never really get rejections if you do it yourself. If you try to do the nonprofit form yourself, it's about this thick. And so they'll do everything, they'll put everything together for you.
Wow. I dropped the information that you shared with me here and also on Facebook, and I'm absolutely encouraging folks to ask questions. Do y'all hear me? You have an expert here. Don't just watch this live stream. Don't ask me after, because I'm telling you right now, I don't have the answers. I'm going to direct you to Pastor Steve. So Pastor Steve, before we get moving along any further, can you just let us know what is the best way to contact you?
They can use my new email address, which is Steve Robinson at sar-global.org.
Awesome. So I'm going to make sure that your email is in the chat along with the notes that you shared with us. I just learned about the 1023 easy nonprofit form that came out in 2014. I was literally talking to someone about doing a foundation for my son. I was discouraged against doing a foundation for my son because they were talking about all of the work that it would entail to have the chair, your board members, and all of this other legalistic, logistical things in this language. It just sounded so foreign to me. So can you help explain to us a little bit about who are the entities that are needed to help you when you're actually starting a nonprofit? Do you really need a board?
Yes, you do need a board. So when you're doing the nonprofit organization through LegalZoom, they're going to ask you for your board members. And I believe you need at least 5. Now, those people can be friends, they can be family members, but you definitely need to have a board of directors for that. And so, and it's not that complicated. That's why I use LegalZoom, because it was very daunting when I started looking at the process. And it probably, if you did it on your own, it may take you years, and then you may get it rejected from the IRS. And that's why, $800, maybe for some people that seems like a lot of money, but when you realize how much time and energy that they're saving you, it is well worth it, because just getting your nonprofit is going to pay you back anyway.
Right. So what is the difference between a nonprofit and a foundation? Is there a difference?
Yeah, I don't know if I can answer that question, but I know there's basically a big difference with a private foundation. And so one of the good things about, and I don't have any interest, financial interest in LegalZoom, but I think if you went to their website, they would break down the different entities, because they don't just do nonprofits, they do for-profits or anything that has to do with business per se. And so the private foundations are held to a whole different standard. So, but as a nonprofit, I'm sure you can do like fundraisers and things like that. The other thing, and this is sort of getting a little ahead of me, you don't have to report earnings under $50,000 as a nonprofit. Once you go over $50,000, which we have, then you really need to have your accounting and all that stuff being done. So most nonprofits, I'm not saying, most small nonprofits probably do well under $50,000 a year.
Wow, that's good to know. I have another question about since people don't want to ask questions, I'm going to ask you all the questions that I can while I have you here, because I know that these are questions that folks really need to know. So it's, as far as your board, some things that I've heard and which might discourage some people from wanting to start a nonprofit is that your board could actually fire you and take over your company. Is that true?
um, I think I don't know if I can legally answer that. I mean, your board does have a lot of power, but I would say this: I wouldn't put people on the board that didn't like me, or who didn't believe in my vision, or who weren't supportive of me. So the people that I have on my board are friends that I've known, 20, 30 years. And, for the most part, they're just there sort of as guides. They're not really, I mean, our organization is not that big, it's breaking six figures, but I'm sure if you were, a multi-million dollar corporation, but nonprofits in and of itself, by its very nature, that no one can really benefit from, financially benefit from a nonprofit. Now, if it was a for-profit organization, I'd probably be even more careful about the people that I would have on my board. So the nonprofits versus the for-profits are two different things, because usually the nonprofits are very limited in what, especially if you're a small nonprofit, there's really nobody that's would probably even think about that. So I wouldn't really worry about that as a nonprofit.
Okay, awesome. Guys, start your nonprofit. Do not be afraid of your board members. Get people that like you.
Right.
Dr. Steve, that was a really, really great nugget, because I feel like there are so many small things that people would really like shy away from, that really need to be in business, and they really have like a great and powerful vision, but they just don't have the answers. And I feel like as a lot as people of color, like, I'm just going to keep it real, I feel like as people of color, are the limitations that we have to the access of information that we need really keeps us in a place that is like way far behind other races and other cultures.
Right. Absolutely. And so it's building. We were talking about leadership earlier in the week, but there's my dream eventually is to create a hub for people where they can connect with other like-minded folks, and that can be a sounding board that can provide resources, that can provide information for people. And one of my mentors told me years ago that a mentor is a shortcut to your destiny. And so most people that have great ideas have no mentors, or they're afraid to share. So you only share your vision with people who love you and will protect your vision, not steal your vision. And if you don't have someone in your life either coaching or mentoring you, then you're alone, all alone. And then you really, when you get discouraged because things aren't going the right way, you can a lot of times sabotage your own vision, quit the mission in the middle of it, and you may be just a few months or a few meetings away from having that breakthrough that your company needs. So it's very, very important to connect to other folks. I always say this, go spend some time with someone, take them out to dinner, take them to lunch, and pull on their ear, because an individual that has years of experience, just spending a few moments with them can create the shortcut that you need. So if you're with someone that has a tremendous amount of experience, and I always use marriage because I've been married, a long time. I said, you don't go to someone who's been divorced 5 times to get marriage information. They can tell you how to get divorced because they're good at it. But you go to the person that has a track record. I think sometimes, especially in our community, we don't look for those who have the maturity, the experience, and the expertise. A lot of times we go to our friends that have less experience and expertise than we do. And they'll say, oh, girl, you don't need to do that. And they have no clue. Go to someone that's already doing what you want to do, and then ask, can I spend some time with you? And that's going to propel you into anything, not just being in a nonprofit, but for any business, any vision, any ministry that you have in your heart. Find someone that's already been doing that. Even at 64, for myself, I still have mentors in my life. I still have people that I bounce things off. You never outgrow mentoring. You never outgrow coaching. You never do. And so what happens when people think they arrive because they have some type of artificial title, I've had all the titles, manager, apostle, CEO, the only one I'm looking for right now is the Grand Exalted Poobah that the Flintstones had. But other than that, I think sometimes people get enamored by people's titles, but don't look behind the curtain, so to speak, like in The Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. The truth is that when you pull back the curtain, you might just find a timid person that has no experience whatsoever. And I think a lot of times, especially in our community, we're looking at people with titles, but without experience. And when you start to dig down, you're going, well, there's really no substance behind what this person is saying. And I think that discourages people more than anything else.
Wow, Pastor Steve, you are dropping so many gems right now, and we're just gonna have to have you back on a leadership series. I'm just saying. Pastor Steve and I was able to chat a little bit last night, and y'all are not going to be privy to that information until he and I talk again. Do y'all hear me? Because he is here to educate us on nonprofits. But I love how you've actually intersected the need of mentorship, coaching, and leadership in business. We have to understand that my previous pastor, they left, they went to Chicago. The Lord opened up some doors for them. And he said, Shondell, one man on an island alone will never, ever be successful. we don't have to do life alone.
Right.
We need mentors, we need coaches, we need people who, like you said, have had experience, and real experience, that can not only bring you from point A to point B, but can bring you a little further, point A, B, C, and D, give you the things that you need in order for you to get to where you desire to be. And I tell people all the time, excuse me, I'm really big on following folks who are where I'm not.
Right.
I'm not following anybody who is still living in public housing. No, no disrespect and no offense, but I'm not going to follow you if you're in low income housing and you're telling me how to be an entrepreneur, because I was already there.
Right.
I've grown from there. And we can't hold on to these subsidies and these things, these safe havens of that nature, and feel like we are going to go where God is trying to bring us. No, we cannot. Being an entrepreneur, there's nothing safe about that. It's
Right.
all your faith. It's your faith in God. It's your faith. And I'm sorry, y'all know I don't apologize for my faith, but we believe in Jesus over here on this side of the track. And it's our faith in the Lord as to where he is going to bring us. What is our purpose? What is our destiny? So for those of you who are considering starting a nonprofit, we have Pastor Steve, Dr. Steve Robinson here with us, who is a phenomenal businessman, a phenomenal pastor, leader in our community. We've done some things through the city together, Pastor Steve. And so I can co-sign for this man, y'all. I can co-sign for his leadership. Like I said, I've been to Prayer Fest. It wasn't anything that I've heard about. And when one person in their team, keyword y'all, team, when their team can execute something that big on that scale, these are people that you want to follow. These are people that you want to pay attention to. So, Pastor Steve, I see that you shared a little bit about some software
Right.
services. Can we talk about that?
Yes, yes. So once you get your certificate from designated letter from the IRS, there are a lot of different things that open up to you as a nonprofit. This is for nonprofits, not for profits, but for nonprofits. So you get the letter, there's opportunities that most people, there's probably even nonprofits don't even realize that there's some things that you can have. Number one, Google.com nonprofit. Now, what Google has all kinds of free stuff for nonprofits. And one of the big things is they give $10,000 a month worth of free advertising. So just think about this for a moment. I haven't access, I mean, I have it, I have access to it, I haven't used it yet. And there's some companies that are trying to help me. Once we start thinking about what we want to do regionally and globally, these things are going to come in. But just think about Facebook ads that you do, and sometimes you may do a boost or something, costs you $10 for for 5 days or something like that. Well, Google has for nonprofits, they give you $10,000 worth of free ads per month. So then and what I'm trying to do now, and I haven't done this, is there's a few companies that will take that ad allowance that you get from Google and promote your business through it. So just think about that, how much exposure your business can have. Then Microsoft has all kinds of things, but one of the things that I like about Microsoft is that they give Microsoft 365 Business Premium license to you for 10 years, and you get 25 licenses. That means everyone that's in your organization gets a free license for 10 years for Microsoft 360 Business. Plus, they have all other kinds of things as well. These are for nonprofits. There's another company called TechSoup.org. I don't know if I put that there or not, but you have discounts from Hewlett Packard, Adobe Acrobat, Norton Security, Windows 10, QuickBooks. You get servers, Dell computers, all of those different things are now discounted for you. That's not privy to the rest of, it's not privy to the public. It's just for nonprofit. So once you get your letter of designation, now you start getting all of these other opportunities because there's companies out there that are doing nonprofits, and there's local entities as well that are offering to mentor and train you. I have one right now that I'm applying to where they bring you through a whole year of mentoring and building up your business. So those things are available as well. That alone, just think about the Google nonprofit. That's $120,000 a year worth of free ads that they just give to nonprofits. And then the Microsoft 365, I don't know if anybody's ever done, Microsoft Word and all, that's all contained in that. You're getting 25 licenses for 10 years. That's probably at least $5,000 a year, at least, maybe more than that. So those things, and then with TechSoup, you're getting all these different other benefits for being a nonprofit. So, we talked about the $800 that you had to invest up front, but just getting the Google ads right there more than pays for that, or even the Microsoft or some of the discounts that you're getting as well.
That's awesome. A clarifying question, Dr. Steve. Is this only for the regular traditional nonprofit, or is this applicable to the 1023 Easy nonprofit?
Anyone. So, there's no difference between 1023 and 1023 Easy. Nobody knows that you went through the 1020. The thing with the 1023 Easy is that you don't have to provide all the paperwork. They're saying you're legitimate. And so some people don't like it, but for a new startup, this is the perfect way to get in. And once you get in and you become bigger later on, let's say you started, you had $25 in the bank, and then 5 years later you had $25 million. You don't have to reapply. So once you're in as a nonprofit, which is pretty cool.
I don't know if y'all heard that. Can you repeat that again?
So the 1023 Easy is the same thing as the 1023, according to the IRS. Now, some companies don't like that because the 1023 Easy, you don't really have to prove much like the regular 1023. Like, you don't have to provide your financial documentations. You're basically saying, they're basically taking your word on your merit. And so, but even as you grow, let's say you grow past that, whatever that criteria is for 1023, as your company grows, you don't have to go back and reapply. Once you get the designated letter, you're good for life.
Wow, that's awesome. I see that you were going to share some information on one of my favorite websites, which is Fiverr. Can you share with the people about Fiverr?
Yeah, Fiverr I use a lot. I'm a big proponent on not reinventing the wheel. If somebody already, and time is money as well. And so I use Fiverr for a lot of different things. As you can see, my logo in the background, Nexus Leadership Academy. I paid $100 for that. And I can use it across all different platforms. And I love it. I love how it came out. I put it on all my documentation. I did my SAR Global as well. So for $100, you get different people that are working on your logo. It's really good. They design our website. If you go to sar-global.org, www.sar-global.org, you will also see our website that we put up. And there's still some things that we need to do. I think the best thing that I did on Fiverr was the business plan. And every company needs a business plan. And because the business plan is so key, I paid $150, and the lady that was on Fiverr, she put all my information, she put my board members' name in there, our vision, all of that. So it does take some time, but to write your own business plan is very, very, very complicated. So I have that. The other thing that's really key about your business plan as well is that the information that's in it is key for all of your grant writing. because all grants ask basically the same thing: your vision, your goals, all of that. That's all contained in your business plan. So once you get your business plan done, then when you're applying for grants, you're just sort of, cutting and pasting and putting it from there into the grant, because pretty much it's redundant across the board. The business plan really tells you, what you're about, your vision, your goals, all of that. And $450, I think that was probably, besides the nonprofit, the $150 for the business plan, that was some of the best money I spent.
I think I need to go to Fiverr.
Yes.
I usually use them for, they did do my website for me, which I
Hey,
love.
could I take a quick break, just
Yep,
real quick? Yep.
sure. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna be right back. You can just turn off your camera. Thank you so much, Pastor Steve. So we're gonna take a quick break here, wait for Pastor Steve to come back. If you guys are enjoying this segment on how to start your own nonprofit, I'm going to ask that you please go ahead and sow a seed. Sow a seed to Dr. Steve. My Cash App is in the comments. Cash $ Shawnee Speaks 1121. Let's sow any dollar amount into this man of God for his time. Let me tell y'all, the information that is being shared here, I haven't even ever received it in webinars that I have paid for. Do y'all hear me? I mean, paid for, and I know how to invest in myself. So in webinars and in workshops that I've paid hundreds of dollars for, they have not provided this type of detailed information that Dr. Steve is sharing with us on tonight. So be a blessing to the man of God. Sow a seed of any dollar amount. Y'all know I never ask for money, but I am asking on this webinar series that we help out people who are helping us. He's not charging me to be here. He's not charging y'all, but we can all sow a seed into this plethora of information. And please also take advantage of his email is in the chat. His website, I believe I will put in the chat if I did not. The notes that he was sharing are in the chat. This live stream is going to be up. This Zoom call is going to be up for at least a week. So you'll be able to go back. You'll be able to listen again. You'll be able to take notes. And I'm asking you all that if you're enjoying this segment, to please go ahead and share this live video with your networks. Thank you. Welcome back, Pastor Steve.
Yeah, thank you. I have my two granddaughters with me today.
It's okay, no worries.
That's a whole different time. But the business plan is so important. I want to re-emphasize that because that's really the building block for your business. It's key for your when you're applying for grants. All of that is contained in that, and so please, by all means, and you could spend thousands of dollars to get a business plan done. And I just thought the $150 was just a really great deal.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Like I was just sharing with the people, I've been in workshops and training programs that have not even supplied the amount of information that you're sharing with us right now. So this is phenomenal, and I really appreciate you. Let's move down to you shared a little bit about PayPal and giving sources. Can you explain that?
Right. So on our website, we have a thing called donate. So when you create your website, you want a donate button for those. If you're offering services like I do, coaching like you do, training. So if people want to give, they can always go to the website. And so one of the things that you can also do is to do reoccurring. Let's say you're coaching someone and there's $100 fee per month. So they can set it up so that directly goes into your account. I've looked at PayPal. PayPal's really great. But one of the ones that I use now is Easy Tithe. And so one of the reasons I think PayPal allows you to do the same thing, but Easy Ties allows you to take credit cards. So the person can go into your website, hit the donate button, and we don't see the information, but they can put their credit card information. They can set it up for a reoccurring for 52 weeks. They could do a one-time payment. They could use their debit card or anything like that. So you definitely want to have a vehicle in which you can do financial transactions as well. And so PayPal's good. There's some discounts that are there. I forget what Easy Tithe is, but it's a percentage plus like $1 or something like that. So if you have, like, even when I was at the church, I think we were doing something like, I would say, over $200,000 a year just in Easy Tithe, because some people rather not, bring a check or pay weekly. So what they did with Easy Tithe is just they set it up, their tithes for the whole year. It was coming out once a week or twice a week or once a month, and then they just you just forget about it. It's like paying a bill online every month or something. So that's really, really good. And once you get your nonprofit, you can go to Easy Tithe, and there's an app that you can get as well. So you can text to give with it. You can set up a giving that's reoccurring, or you can do a one-time gift as well. So it's pretty good.
That's awesome. That's so good to know. And it's important to really allow people like different like various ways to make payments.
Right.
Everybody doesn't have Cash App, everybody doesn't have PayPal, everybody doesn't have Venmo. So I really like that Easy Tithe is another form of payment. That's phenomenal.
And there's several of them out there, and make sure company more professional to be able to take different ways of, especially if you can't accept a credit card. I mean, as a business, that's very, very difficult, because a lot of people like myself, I never really ever carry cash with me.
Yeah, we don't carry cash either. Always looking for $1 or some kind of change, right? Okay, so we are coming to a close, but I wanted you to share um about I'm sorry, the importance to create partnerships with other local nonprofits.
So, and I've spoken to a lot of folks. Look, people of color have had a hard time breaking into the piece of the pie that is the nonprofits. And I had a conversation, very frank conversation, with one of the directors over at the Van Buren Foundation who gives out money. And one of the things that I looked at is the amount of money and resources that they were giving to local entities within Newport. And one was Newport Bike, the other one was Newport Fab. And when I saw the amount of money that were coming into these organizations, million plus dollars, and I don't have anything bad to say about these organizations, but I was trying to get them to give me some money for teaching leadership at the high school level. They couldn't grasp their mind around that. And I said to the guy, I said, coaching and leadership training will do more for underprivileged kids than giving them a bicycle or having them build something in a lab. And he goes, yeah, well, I says, look, neither one of us are where we're at without someone mentoring us or someone opening up the door. This is the foundation. This is the way you break poverty, not by giving somebody a bicycle. Yes, they can exercise, not by building something, but building the person. They still can't understand. They're still sort of trying to figure me out whether or not they want to partner with me in the future. But there was another company, the Women's Resource Center, and we had done things with them as a church. And when I started a nonprofit, they asked me to come alongside. And so we started doing COVID relief funds. So I was able to get resources for rental assistance, for food, for clothing, and things like that. So they partner with us to be able to help the community at large. And then when COVID hit really hard, they had come back to me and said, was there anything that I could do? And so I have a Black filmmaker who's a good friend of mine. And so we basically said, let us produce a commercial for you. It was like $10,000. Let us produce a commercial for you and reach the community that way. And this was foreign to them. They're like, you guys are gonna produce a commercial? And I don't know if you've seen the commercial, but I could, very, very professional. Guy's an award-winning African-American brothers in Connecticut, phenomenal brother. I'll send you a clip of it. And they said, well, you know, we really wanted to do the old-fashioned way and hand out flyers and do seminars. Well, they finally relented and let us do the ads. So we did different Facebook ads, different Google ads, and we reached with our film 15,000 people with our film. That's 15,000 people watched the film, and like 650 people actually went to the COVID website. We were more successful with our film than any the other entities combined. And so they go, wow, how did you come up with that? I'm saying, look, people are gonna watch video a lot quicker than even if you throw up a flyer or something, they're gonna watch video. So we did a 3-minute video and it was phenomenal. They just loved it. They just loved it. And when I send it to you, you'll get the same sense, because this brother, I mean, he's already won all kinds of awards. PBS has hired him, other up and coming R&B artists, you know, flew him out to California to do their, and so when you see it, you know, this is what we're capable of doing. That's why the partnership is so important. You talked a lot about that we don't really partner with one another. We get an idea and we run off, and then we die on the vine because there was no support system in place. If we collaborated, because we have great ideas in our community, and yet we seem to look at each other with suspicion versus how do we collaborate to build our community together. So I said to this guy at Van Buren Foundation, I said, here's the problem with the nonprofits. I said, you keep giving money to white people to fix Black people's problems, but you won't give money to Black people to fix Black people's problems. And they can do anything. They can give you a bicycle, they can build something, but we want to speak to the soul of the person, the thing that breaks them out, because poverty is the #1 detriment to our community. And if we don't break that and we don't empower people, we have these cycles, generations of poverty that people never break out. Like you're saying, you know, my mom raised 6 boys by herself. I lived in Rodney Williams projects. I lived in the projects in 3 projects in Newport. And, you know, the thing that always helped me to focus was I wasn't going to raise my family. I don't have anything bad to say about projects, but they can become a prison. And yet we're not empowering people. My generation was all about going to school. This generation, I don't know what they're talking about. I have no idea how to empower them, but it really comes down to education. So finding mentors are extremely important. Nelson Rockefeller, who was the richest guy in the world at one time, they had asked him a question and said, what's the difference between a rich man and a poor man? And he says, information. Knowledge is king. The problem is that if you can't be mentored, you can't submit to authority, you can't be trained, you're not teachable, you have a limitation on your potential. And so we need to be able to break that, honor one another, bring people in, don't keep bringing, I see this in Providence a lot, and I'm gonna try to be kind here, and I won't go into deep detail, but we keep bringing the same people into our community every year with these conferences that say the same thing and nothing ever happens. So, we have a good time, we dance for a little bit, and then we go back to our same dysfunction. We need real leaders who have the experience, not just what I call a lullaby and a tambourine. We need tangible, productive vision that helps people to break out of the poverty mindset so that we can influence. Providence should have a community of Black and Brown people that are not only empowered, but are actually at the leadership level that are making a difference from the projects to the East Side.
I agree. Wow. Pastor Steve. Woo, you are taking us home, sir. Come on now. This is so, 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 so powerful. I I am so thankful again for you, for your knowledge, for your infinite wisdom, for just saying yes, for taking the time to share everything that you know and condense it in about 50 minutes for this platform. I know that your knowledge is extensive and I couldn't even imagine how much you know. So to be able to bring these vital pieces of information and to be able to share them here on tonight, I know that I'm blown away. I was taking notes and I hope that everyone that's watching was informed, that they've gotten their eyes really opened, and that they share the video, because I always ask people to share the live streams, because it's not just someone on my network, my Facebook, my live stream of folks that need this information, but it's people that I don't know, it's people that I can't reach. And so it's really important for us to be able to share something like this. Again, I'm going to ask you all, if you can and will, please sow a seed of any dollar amount. My Cash App is there. Dollar sign, I keep saying hashtag, dollar sign Shawnee Speaks 1121. Sow your seeds to this man of God for this information. We are done here. Do you have any final words that you want to share before we go?
Yeah, I felt like, we were talking the other night. I felt like, let me lead them with this: new wine into new wineskins. And as I was traveling internationally, God had given me this revelation: new wine, new wineskins. We know new wine is a new move of God. But I had a real hard time about the wineskins, because we know that God will not pour new wine into old wineskins. And so what are the wineskins? The new wineskins were new apostolic structures that we could not just look at the church, but we need to move from church to kingdom, from revival to reformation. And these containers that God is creating, individual containers, meaning, hey, that's like, I'm on the Zoom, guys, don't do that, my granddaughters. And so these containers are us, and God wants to pour this new wine into us, but he doesn't want us to take it back into sort of the wilderness that we're coming out of. And so if we can realize, and the last thing, I know I said the last thing, how preachers are. He says that in the Bible, when he talks about the new wine in the new wineskin, so that he doesn't waste it. The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. We know that. But here's the problem. This is the thing that always bugged me, probably bugs you too. If the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous, then why do we keep going to the righteous to get the wealth? But the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. That's why there need to be new apostolic structures within the world system instead of the church system. We keep going to the church to get our wealth when our wealth is out there, because the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous. But how can we keep going to the righteous to try to get our wealth? I'll leave you with that.
Come on and drop that mic, Dr. Steve. Come on. Powerful, 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 powerful. Thank you so much. If you don't mind just hanging back for about 30 seconds, I'm going to close here. Guys, I can't say it again. This was so informative. If you did not catch it from the beginning, please go ahead and watch this live stream from the beginning. Get your notebooks, get your pens, take notes. Pastor Steve's information, contact information has been dropped in the chat. The notes that he's been sharing tonight, you would not be able to afford to pay for all of this in this 1 hour. I'm just saying, because this is a lot of money worth of information, and he just gave it to us for gratuity. The information is in the chat. Please go ahead, share this live video. I love you all. Have an amazing night. The peace of God go with you. The peace of God keep you, and the peace of God be upon you. I love you all. God bless. Okay, let me stop the recording.